Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to watch football, not get married. What are we doing here?
I've gotten a lot of baby powder. People like, man, what'd you get out of baby powder for? I think I'm going to have to smack the hell out of a lot of people this year. I just can feel it.
Hold on. The only thing you should be getting married to in the fall is football.
That's right, y'all. It's No Weddings in the Fall, the show that rekindles that marriage into football. Let's get it on. And speaking of slaps, what the five fingers say to face? They said it was good. Troupe in the house. Welcome into the studio, my friend.
Commissioner Cooper's always good to be on with you, sir. Listen, I'm looking forward to another incredible season. And I don't know if I'm going to make it because I have, you got college football Saturday, then you got NFL on Sunday. But I will do my best. I will take it.
Yeah, it was a fun first week of college. That is for sure. We're obviously going to jump into that. Let's pay the bills before we get started. Do us a solid if you're watching on YouTube. Give us a like. Throw your comments in, whatever they may be, and do all the notification stuff. Little things stopping you from doing it, big things popping for us when you do. So we always appreciate that. Also, use the code Troupe for Fast Draft app. That'll give you $50 on a $50 purchase. It'll give you $100 to play for daily fantasy. And we're getting in it now. So make sure you get signed up today. Also, if you're looking for some championship bling for that fantasy champion, look no further than Pro-Am belts. All right, Ben. Well, like I said, we got a lot to talk about today because it was an exciting week of college football. Let's talk about the week on repeat.
And now to football scores with the boys from No Weddings in the Fall with the week on repeat.
Ooh-wee, I'm so excited to talk about the week on repeat because, we're going to get right into what I want to talk about. Let's just get right to it. How about the America's college team, the Miami Hurricanes, coming up big against Notre Dame, 27-24. Some highlights. Obviously, we had the catch of the season, even though it's early. Football game, God, one of those moments. I remember distinctly watching I think it was game 6 of the NBA Finals, and I was all depressed watching the Spurs, and they were rolling the trophy out, and then Ray Allen comes in and ba-bam! And I remember jumping out of my chair and running down the street. I was so pumped up. That was the same exact feeling I got with that one-handed monster grab on that drive. That was unbelievable. But Carson Beck, he played all right. 205, 2 TDs. Mark Fletcher had a 15 carry, 66 yards. And Mr. Tony did it again. 6 receptions, 82 yards, and a TD. On the Notre Dame side, CJ Carr, 221, 2 TDs, 1 pick. Jadarian Price, 6 carries for 45 yards. He was the yard leader in that one. And receiving yard leader was Eli Raridan with 5 receptions for 97 yards. So, it got a little crazy there in the fourth quarter. I was getting a little nervous, I ain't going to lie, but Miami ended up holding it out. What'd you think of that game, my friend?
Very, very impressed from start to finish. I think when you talk about a team like Miami, everybody's going to say, how do you replace a guy like Cam Ward? Carson Beck comes over from Georgia, and he said, look, I'm not trying to be Cam, I'm Carson, but if you guys just stick with me, I believe, I can definitely get us to the promised land. That game lived up to the hype. I mean, this was all about Notre Dame this, Notre Dame that, coming off a national championship loss. Marcus Freeman, incredible coach, right? But Carson Beck said, look, man, I wasn't here when he did, the convicts versus the Catholics back in the day. We talked about the shirts. When that catch, I said, CJ Daniels. I said, my goodness, young man. I mean, I don't even know how he contorted his body. I said, oh my God, he's going to do something stupid. And it was nasty. I like the fact that it was a back and forth game that Notre Dame, they brought out all the stops in the fourth quarter. But Miami showed they are built to last. This time last year, it was about Cam Ward and the offense trying to outscore the other team because the defense couldn't stop nobody. Miami that was a crazy little pick that Miami got. That's kind of freaky, but he got the pick. I enjoyed the game. This is coming from a Florida Gator. Look, I'm a fan of college football players first, college football second, and Florida third. I enjoyed it. I like a game that you thinking, hey, man, this game's going to be over with. Notre Dame said, look, we got to look the part because all we got is our regular season. Shout out to them Canes. And Carson Beck said, hey, man, I understand about the tradition here. Somewhere Michael Irvin was on the sideline going crazy, sounded like a bulldog over there going, let's go. I mean, you already know what Michael Irvin does and how he does. But for one night, all eyes was on South Florida. And we ain't talking about the boys in Tampa. We're talking about the boys out there in Coral Gables. And the boys from the U came out on top.
I want to say two things real quick. Number one, if I see one more thing online about suspecting Michael Irvin of quote unquote being on something, I'm going to flip my wheels. And I'm going to tell you why, though, because I know his reaction was my reaction, and I wasn't on nothing, so I don't know what that's about. I think, obviously Mike liked to party back in the day, probably still does a little bit, but I don't see him being on anything. He was showing his emotion you do in football, you know what I mean? I go so tired of seeing that. And you brought up a good point, something I should have said myself when I was bringing up the game. Listen, last year, that defense could not stop nobody. At the end of the fourth quarter, they held Notre Dame to 7 points, period. So even though Notre Dame made a little run there at the end of the fourth quarter, big props to the Miami defense finally maturing a bit and looking pretty damn healthy in the first game. So pretty exciting stuff for sure. All right, let's talk about the game where somebody wasn't looking so hot. Let's talk anyway. Ohio State, ranked number 3, beat Texas, who was number 1, 14-7. Now, first and foremost, for a number 1 versus number 3, all I want to do was this. I mean, come on, bro, let's get some kind of football going here. But we ended up again, Archie Manning struggled a bit. And I do want to say this before I just talk about his stats. From what I saw, Archie wasn't seeing the field properly. There was a couple times, I know when he was in the red zone in particular, and I can't remember the drive off the top of my head, but they were down the red zone, and it was either third or fourth down, and he threw this fade in the corner of the end zone, which, he had a guy, it was a hard throw, basically. When he had a much easier one coming right across the middle, the guy had beaten the corner, so all he had to do was lead him, and if at the end of the day, I believe, and if I remember correctly, they were close. It was one of those situations. They were in the red zone, but they could have gotten a first down even. So he could have even just got the first down with that throw, or that guy probably scored instead of trying to he wasn't letting the game come to him is what I'm trying to get out. Instead of he was trying to force things, which I felt as if, makes sense, I guess, in a sense, because, hey, his first big game, all the lights, and he knows everything's on him. So I could see why he was trying to force things. But, a little tip to Archie, which I'm sure the coaches get paid a lot will probably tell him, is let the game come to you, because he had opportunities. He was just trying to do too much, basically. 170 yards, 1 TD, 1 pick. And, the rest is history. I'm not going to go through all the stats. What'd you think of the game?
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, when you talk about there's hype and there's Ohio State versus Texas. I mean, this was all about the former national champions going up against a team that everybody seems to think is in the front runner to be the national champion. Archie Manning got a lot of hype because of what he can do in the last name. The grandson of Archie, the nephew of Peyton and Eli. But here's the thing. The story of the game was Matt Patricia. That is the defensive coordinator for Ohio State. He said, I'm going to throw everything at this young man. And it worked. But if you go back to the game, the biggest storyline was Archie just wasn't, like you said, he wasn't seeing the field. Guys were coming wide open all game long. He just wasn't seeing them. He was panicking because Matt Patricia said, I want him to see things that aren't there, and I want him to be distracted by the things that are there. And it is one game, right? It is one game. But for Ohio State, they're saying, dude, we are a team that's good enough talent-wise. We meet the talent threshold to beat y'all. Steve Sarkisian has been to a lot of places. He's been to Texas. He's been to SC, right? He's been to Atlanta. And what does he do better than no one else in the country? Mismanaged talent. He got talent all over the field, And like you said at one point, Commissioner, this was a snooze fest. It's like, dude, what is Texas doing? This was it might as well have been 50-0 at one point. Because Texas, they just going to the field coming out. They mismanaging the clock. They not moving the chains. But Ohio State knew, and Ryan Day knew, coming off a national championship, we lose to Texas, people gonna go, dude, we already can't beat Michigan as of late. Now we can't beat teams like Texas. But it was, for an afternoon game, all the commentators that love Arch Manning, Todd McShay, Mel Kiper, and everybody who got they all they wasn't that critical. They was like, well, just one game, Paul Feinbaum and all these. No, for one game he looked bad because guess what? Not that if Shedeur Sanders played for the Texas Longhorns and he had a game like that with all that hype, they would be going crazy. Like, oh my God, he's the worst player you ever seen in your life. If Cam Moore, just pick any Bryce Young. Any big-time player that's supposed to be the projected number 1 overall pick, I don't know why he's the projected number 1 overall pick. Everybody kept saying this. Arch hadn't played against anybody. By the time he got in the games were already over, or he started against teams that they know they can beat. Ohio State, the Georgias, right, the LSUs, right, the Miamis. Those type of teams are the type of teams you're going to have to see when you get to the college football playoff. But for one day, Ohio State looked good. Texas didn't look good. It's going to be much ado about nothing because people are going to say it was a good loss for Texas as the season goes on. I don't know what the hell a good loss is. It's a loss. But, yeah, they didn't look good. And like I said, I just think for Arch, he realizing real quick you're going to get that type of effort from everybody you play that meets the talent threshold. I'm not talking about these games you're supposed to win. And, hey, man, for one day, all the Ohio State alums, they talking trash on X and on TikTok and Twitter. They I said, well, dude, y'all beat Texas. Texas has been in the SEC for 1 year. So all this SEC, they've been in there for 1 year. Well, Arch, man, he'll bounce back, but I'm not going to take nothing away from Matt Patricia. I'm not going to take nothing away from Ryan Day. Ohio State, they put a thumping on them, boy. They said, look, man, we just going to beat them up. And 14-7, it didn't seem like a 14-7 game at the end of the game.
Yeah, so you brought up such a great point because that is so true that there was like almost a like everyone was lining up to defend Archie. It's so funny that you say that because man, you hit it right on the head. If that was Shedeur Sanders, oh my God, it would have been if it was him and Dion. That's all we'd be talking about.
Oh yeah.
Is how Dion doesn't know how to coach and he's only letting his son play. And it's just so ridiculous. But yeah, like you said, I'm not here to beat up on Archie Manning. He had a bad game. And like you said, we have not seen him come out from start to finish against a good team. And we finally got a little taste of that. And then we didn't really like it. It was a little bitter. So, we'll see. Maybe he bounces back, but he's got to let things come to him versus trying to force things. And I think that's hopefully he'll take that lesson into the next week. All right, let's go to number 9 LSU versus number 4 Clemson. 17-10 LSU pulls off the victory this week. And, I have to admit, this is one game that I kind of fell out of. I was kind of tired, so I didn't really watch it. But I did catch the highlights the next day. But so I say that to say, I'm going to let you break it down. Talk about this game because I unfortunately didn't get a chance to see the highs and lows of it.
It was a tale of two halves. I mean, Clemson being at home, it was the battle of the Tigers, literally, and it was the battle of Death Valley. LSU being Death Valley, playing in Death Valley in Clemson, and it was the battle of potential number 1 overall picks. You talk about Cade Klubnik, you talk about Gary Nussmeier, but I will say this: Clemson had all the momentum going back and forth with LSU. I think they took a touchdown pass away from LSU, but in the second half, LSU woke up. They were punching Clemson in the mouth, and once again, the final score is not indicative of what happened in the game. Brian Kelly, to me, needed this win way more than Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney has 2 national championships. Dabo Swinney's coming off, a college football playoff berth last year. Dabo Swinney got a resume. Brian Kelly is a former head coach of Notre Dame, and now he's at LSU. That's it. That's all Brian Kelly has done. Oh, yeah, he's coached Jaden Daniels, who was Heisman Trophy winner, 2nd overall pick. LSU has not won in season opener under Brian Kelly until last Saturday. He needed this win. He needed it for momentum. He needed it for confidence. And look, it was a good game. Did I think Clemson was? I thought Clemson was going to win because I thought same with LSU, a lot of height, real nice color scheme. They're going to lose. They're gonna lose like they always do. But they came out on top. And Dabo Swinney, post-game press conference saying, "Look, man, they just beat us. They just had their way a little bit in the second half." Brian Kelly said, "Did he watch the second half? We beat the brakes off y'all. We beat y'all up." I like when these coaches act like they're gonna see each other in real life and they're gonna fight. Like, but I like the fact that LSU said, just like Miami, just like Ohio State, it's about how we play, not who we play. And I want to go out there and beat whoever's in front of us. And LSU, they did it the ugly way. It wasn't. I don't like these blowout type first games, but when you got a opponent like Clemson, Clemson gonna keep. Clemson is good, not great. LSU had a great second half. I don't know what to take from either team moving forward. But for one night, the Tigers of LSU is the real Death Valley, even though they had to go to Clemson to play in that Death Valley. The Tigers won, even though both Tigers play. Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback, I like him. I mean, he's a big time talent. He's gonna get a lot of hype because of where he plays. But if he can play like that, Commissioner, he got a shot to be. He coming off the draft board early in 2026, no matter what. But at least it's gonna be because of how he's playing, not because quarterbacks are a premium, in the NFL, and everybody's looking for one. Well, not everybody, but everybody would love to have a guy like Nussmeier, like Klubman, maybe even Carson Beck and all these different guys coming out. But hey, man, LSU, man, I'm giving y'all props. Nice win on Saturday in Clemson. And if you've never been to Clemson before, that's all that's there. It is Clemson University. And that's it. A Piggly Wiggly and a stoplight. That's it. Ain't nothing else there. So, but shout out to the boys from LSU, man. Big time win.
Yeah, when my father had his cabin up there, that's to tell you where it is. Like he would go, he'd take his motorcycle and go down and watch the Clemson practice. So it's funny you say that because I'm like, all I can think of is my dad and the cabin, and that's all I see too is a Piggly Wiggly, pretty much. So that's spot on, my friend. All right, let's stick with the state of Florida to close out our segment here. How about them Seminoles? And it's funny because I hate the Florida Seminoles as a Miami Hurricanes fan, but I really hate the Alabama Crimson Tide because of Nick Saban, how he did America's team, the Miami Dolphins, dirty. So I hate to say, but Alabama, I was so happy to watch this game because Florida State 31-17. I don't even think the score is indicative of how this game went. I just felt like they were buck nasty. The Seminoles were on the Alabama Crimson Tide. But what's your thoughts on this? Were you happy to see them eat some crow in the first game?
Oh, man, this game was crazy. I'm like you. I don't like Florida State. I don't like Alabama. Let me say it the right way. I can't stand Florida State. I can't stand Alabama. But for one Saturday again, Coach DeBoer, the new head, the second-year head coach of Alabama, he finna realize real quick, dude, what you doing? It's okay. Alabama don't lose often, but when they lose, at least it's close. They got dominated. Like Florida State looked like Alabama. Alabama looked like how Florida State was supposed to look. Coach Norvell, head coach of Florida State, said, "Look, 2024 is over with. Yes, we had an awful season last year. That's in the rear view. Their new quarterback, Castle. I'm gonna just call him Thomas C. I don't want to butcher this man's last name. He was talking in the offseason, and people like, "Hey man, pump your brakes, man. That's Alabama." He goes, "Yeah, but we ain't the same Florida State as last year. That's not the same Alabama as previous years." So this was a beatdown. I mean, Alabama was getting dominated. They're running the ball on y'all, doing what they want to do on defense on y'all. And Florida State rushed the field. You know how big of a game this was for Florida State? They rushed the field. Week 1, we already got people rushing the field, and I'm not mad at them. I am not mad at them. They got to, if you are Florida State, you got to do all you can to get them demons out from last year. Because Commissioner, had this went the other way, had Alabama beat the brakes off of Florida State, everybody would be like, "Oh, this is a continuation of 2024 and 2025. Well, it kind of is for Alabama. Alabama didn't make the college football playoffs last year, not because they not because they got beat by Vanderbilt, but because they got beat down by Oklahoma. Oklahoma said, "Y'all, we ain't going. Y'all ain't going." Coach DeBoer, he's from Washington, man. Like, let me tell y'all something. Most people on the East Coast and the South think Washington is in D.C. They know nothing about. Wait a minute, it's a state, Washington? Yeah, where? Above Virginia? No, it's way out there in the Pacific Northwest. Pacific, yes, that's the other ocean. What the? We know about the Atlantic over here. We know the Pacific is out there. Coach DeBoer was a good coach for UW, but I'm gonna keep saying this. Everybody can't coach in the South because it's bigger than just the team. What about the culture? What about the people? What about the food? What about the atmosphere? What about the environment? And I think this dude, he know X and O's. Well, the only reason why he's gonna be the head coach this year and maybe next year, because they owe him $70 million to buy him out. $70 million. This was once again, I think Florida State, they're gonna be a good team this year. I think Alabama is gonna be a good team, but Saturday in Doak Campbell Stadium, they put their foot. Oh my God! Anything Florida State wanted to do, and like I said, it is week one. You don't know what no team is after week one, but it's much better after a win than a loss. This wasn't a win. This was a beatdown. Alabama got beat. Alabama got beat how they used to beat the other team. So this is Florida State got some get back. They got some get back for a lot of teams that's gotten beat up over the years by Alabama. But shout out to them Seminoles. They got it done. Coach Norvell, and to the young man, to the young linebacker who got shot after the game, man. Praying for you. If you're going to play linebacker from Florida State, he was in his hometown trying to take his auntie home from a family gathering and got shot in the back of his head in his hometown. They say he's in critical but stable condition. Man, we praying for him to pull through. So, but shout out to them Seminoles though.
Yeah, for sure. Just people are silly. That's all I got to say about that. And one other quick note, on a more fun note, I will say, shout out to the policemen on that. I don't know if you saw when they stormed the field. I mean, bro, relax. They college kids are all excited. I couldn't believe like the reactions they were having, like pushing the kids, but you just tell. I was like, damn, bro, relax, man. They're excited. Like it's a big win. Hell. Anyway, real quick before we close out what we saw last week, I didn't put on a show sheet, but we gotta give you your due and talk about your Gators. And you want to talk about not knowing geographically where things are. LIU Sharks. I was like, I assumed it was like Louisiana. So while you were talking, I actually Googled it. They're from New York?
Long Island. Listen, let me tell you something. The next time Long Island play a team from Florida, they're gonna say, no, we good. What you mean? We don't want to fly. That's a long flight to get beat like that. And let me say this. LIU could have went up against Florida State, Miami, USF, UCF, FAU, FIU. Listen, LIU is going to tell the state of Florida, F you. I'm not coming back to Florida to get beat like that. And I will say this, though. For teams like LIU who definitely get a big check to come play teams like Florida and those type of teams, this game was over before it began for this reason. These teams ain't using this type of heat and humidity. Like, people think, oh, it's at night. Florida gets even hotter look, you cannot escape the heat and the humidity in the state of Florida. It is crazy, but shout out to the Sharks, though, man. I mean, I'm like you. I lived, as a person that lived in New Jersey and worked in New York, I knew about Long Island. I knew they had a college. I didn't know they had a college football team. The Sharks? The Sharks? Long Island Sharks sound like a hockey team, but that's a football team. They got beat 50. I'm just happy that DJ Lagway came out of the game healthy. Love what I saw from Vernell Brown III. I played with his daddy in Florida, Vernell Brown II. Miles Graham, the son of Ernest Graham, I played with his dad at Florida. But I'm just happy to get a big win. I like the fact that when you play a team like this, as you know, Commissioner, if you don't look good, it's, oh, God, they barely beat this team. But 55-0, we'll take it. LIU, I appreciate y'all boys playing hard for 4 quarters because it's easy to just, hey man, I'm done with this. I mean, they was up 38-0 going into halftime. That game was over in halftime. But shout out to the Sharks, shout out to my Gators. They moving on to USF. I know that's a lot of momentum because of what USF did, what they running quarterback. But that's another show for another day. But shout out to my Gators getting it done. Moving on to the next Florida State and Miami all won on Saturday. Hey man, you got to appreciate when the big three, and it is the big three, not UCF. It'll never be a big four. Respect y'all, but y'all head coach is not an offensive coordinator at Florida State, and this is the same guy that said it's gonna go. Gus Malzahn is gonna go from the big three to the big four. Liar! You are a bold-faced liar, Gus Malzahn. You know that was never gonna happen. And I respect UCF. I respect USF. I respect FAU, and I respect FIU. But I also respect FAMU and Bethune-Cookman. So. It's going to be Florida State, and Miami. I'm just saying.
Damn, UCF. You just got dead dirty. Shout out to Patriot Sports Radio, my boys Chris and Eric. Chris, we need to get you on here. I know Eric get you on here as well, man. We love you guys. Miss you. And good. And, Packers fan as well, so I know he's happy. But, let's talk, man. Come bring your ass on this show, man. Love to talk with you. All right. Well, our boy is finally done with his bowling tournament. So we'll bring him in as we talk about what we're going to watch this week in college.
Don't worry, Ben. No weddings here. I just want to know what college game to watch this week.
Justin Jesus Herrera, welcome into the studio, sir.
Whoa, I got the middle treatment right there. I was like, whoa, shit, whose big ass ugly head is that? And I was like, oh shit, that's mine.
You're a Jason.
What's going on, guys?
What's up? You let a bowling tournament? You let a bowling tournament?
Yeah, we took number 1.
Hey, listen, so you can bowl. You like on a team, like on a.
Oh, every season we got a league, at least one.
How'd you bowl tonight? What was your, I don't know, what do they do, like an average of you, or do you do just one and you're done, or what? How's that work?
Oh, no, you do 3 games and you average it out. I think I averaged about like 188 or something like that. So,
Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I like it.
I'm all right.
He's all right. He's just being modest. All right, let's get on to the college football for this week. And, it's fitting that you came on, Justin, because as we talked before the show, I had to let you guys know that I ain't nothing on this week. I guess it's because it's the NFL opening weekend, but there's not much as far as like an average college watcher would. But, Justin's got some other games that he's excited for. But the one that I pointed out was the big one on the primetime slate. Number 14, Michigan versus 18-ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Only played one time in previous history. Guess when it was? The year I was born, 1976. Can you believe it? It was for the 75 National Championship in the Orange Bowl, and Oklahoma won 14-7. And another barn burner, like we saw between Texas and Ohio State. The line right now is Oklahoma is favored by 1.5, and the over/under is 47.5. So, Justin, he just popped in. Talk about this game, who wins and why we like to watch it.
Yeah, it's an exciting game. I mean, that kid Bryce Underwood. Oh man, is he a fire starter? Man, he really got Michigan going. Got these guys really starting to talk about national title for the next 4 years again. But yeah, it's a nice little showdown. Oklahoma has not been as in the news as they've been in the past. I mean, Oklahoma used to be a stalwart when I was, growing up with college football. You'd always hear about Oklahoma was, 1, 2, or 3 in the rankings, and they were always going to be almost an automatic bid to the national title game. So it's kind of cool seeing Oklahoma back into it. And for me, I look at this is a real benchmark for Bryce Underwood. Like last week was nice, but can he do it against one of those big powerhouse teams? And like I said, Oklahoma just coming back into that powerhouse realm. But it's going to be an interesting fight. You know what I mean? Like Michigan has a young offense, and Oklahoma has a pretty solid defense. Now, obviously, they played like Eastern Illinois State or some bullshit like that. So, of course, they won 35-3. But they were still looking pretty damn good out there. Michigan put a beating on New Mexico. It's going to be interesting to see who's a true ranked team this week, because both these guys kind of got their jollies off on teams that nobody's going to ever hear about the rest of the season.
Yeah, kind of like the LIU Sharks, right, Ben?
Exactly. The big bad. They run New York. They run New York outside of Syracuse. No, I agree with Justin. Bryce Underwood originally supposed to go to LSU. Last minute, he ends up flipping and going to Michigan. But he's a Detroit. He's a Michigan kid from Detroit. Coach Venables, the head coach of Oklahoma, right? He was most known for being the defensive coordinator for Clemson when they was in their heyday. It was him and Dabo Swinney he making sure he had, guys like Dexter Lawrence and Isaiah Simmons, and the list goes on and on and on. Oklahoma is finally getting to go up against a team like Michigan, who has postseason aspirations. Oklahoma's in the SEC, and even though it's only been 1 year, they're going to have to prove they belong. Oklahoma back in the day when they was in the Big 12, it was all offense, no defense. None whatsoever. From the Kyler Murrays to the Baker Mayfields, even when Jalen Hurts was there. Now, Can Oklahoma slow down this Michigan offense? Bryce Underwood is 18 years old, and he's too young to know how big he's too young and naive to know the severity of these situations. He's going to go out there, he's going to let it rip. And if Oklahoma's not careful, it could get ugly. Sharon Moore is a guy that's still, obviously, following behind Harbaugh. Outside of these fake sanctions that they got, I don't even know what that was. Is that even a? Yeah, man, we're gonna penalize them $500,000. The University of Michigan, yeah, that's a night out with the team. Anyway, Sharon Moore, I think he's a good coach. We're gonna see how good he is, because Oklahoma wants to make a statement, not just for the world to see, but the rest of the SEC to see, and say 2024, that's behind us. We coming. And for a guy in Michigan, they saw Ohio State versus Texas. They see what Ohio State defense can be, even though Ohio haven't beaten Michigan as of late. And you got a Ohio congressman trying to get different rules and legislation to not plant flags. That is about as soft as it gets. You're gonna make legislation to say, "Hey man, we can't beat Michigan, so if they plant a flag on our field, we're going to put them in jail." Sir, people like you need to go to jail. That's what you're doing up at night? Sweetie, could you read this for me? We can't beat Michigan, but they can't plant the flag either. I will plant that flag so fast. But I think it's going to be a good game, though. Like you said, with most of the college landscape being kind of lackluster, Oklahoma, the Sooners versus Michigan versus the Big Blue, I don't know who's going to win. There's probably be a coin flip, but Bryce Underwood, that youngin is going to be one to watch, man. Like Jeremiah Smith last year for Ohio State, this dude, he's looking to be not just the best freshman in the country, one of the best players in the country. And he's 18 years old.
Nice. Well, I'm going to side with Michigan in this particular matchup just because you guys kind of laid out why already, so I don't even get into it. But I did want to say Justin had a couple of other games he wanted to shout out. Iowa versus Iowa State, South Florida versus Florida. At least I know where South Florida is from in this matchup. Ole Miss versus Kentucky, and Oregon versus Oklahoma State. So some of those games that I looked at, Justin, I looked it over, but I was like, I feel like these just going to be blowouts anyway, to be quite frank. But is there any of these games that, speaking of, you brought these games up, is there any upset alert that you got cooking here, or you just think these might be good games?
No, I would say, you got to definitely look at South Florida versus Florida as a possible upset alert. South Florida put a whooping on Boise State, which was a ranked team last week. And I know DJ Lagway, he's a damn good quarterback out there. But if they don't worry about it, them South Florida guys are going to come up there and beat them. Also, Iowa State. I love Iowa State, man. I can't get enough of what's going on out there. Rocco Betch is somebody who could low-key be going for a Heisman at this point, what he's doing with that offense. And honestly, that's always a very entertaining battle when you get interstate teams going at each other, just like South Florida and Florida. It's just an entertaining game. And then let's see. Yeah, I think that's probably the best one, to be honest with you. Oregon, Oklahoma State, that's a nice one just because I kind of want to see more of what Oregon is. After Dylan Gabriel's gone, they got this young kid, DeCorian Moore, who's interesting at wide receiver. They always seem to just lose a bunch of offensive players, so it's interesting to see how they kind of mold this new team because they have such a high ranking. And then Oklahoma State is kind of just a low-key. Actually, you know what? If I were to say the real upset alert, I think it would be Oklahoma State, Oregon. I think there's a sneaky chance Oklahoma State upsets Oregon.
All right, so we can't move on to the NFL picks since you brought up Florida. You might be getting upset. So, Ben, what you got to say about that?
Listen, does USF always play Florida tight? Yes. Is USF highly respected by Florida? Yes. Does USF have a mobile quarterback? Yes. Do I think they're going to beat us on Saturday? No. I'm tired of these night games. But Florida saw what USF did against Boise State. It was very, very impressive. But I just think that Tyreek Sapp, I think that Caleb Banks, I think that Miles Graham, I think that Pup Howard, them boys gonna be ready to play, and I think that DJ Lagway and company, they're gonna be ready to go. But here's the game that you said for a different reason: Oregon and Oklahoma State. If you haven't been reading and listening, Oregon State head coach Mike Gundy and Dan Lanning, head coach of Oregon, they talking trash because Oregon spends a lot of money in NIL. And Oklahoma State, they don't spend as much money. And Dan Lanning said, well, we spend the money to win. And Oklahoma State said, well, we ain't really spending $40 million. Dan Lanning, you got Phil Knight and Nike. Shut up, man. Everybody know. I mean, Phil Knight just write a check, and y'all, I'm gonna say this, and I hope every Oregon Duck can hear me. Y'all are the greatest almost team we ever seen. Oregon's legacy. I mean, what Phil Knight, Nike.
A lot of uniforms.
I mean, I'm just saying, like everybody always talking about Oregon this and Oregon that, and I'd be like, what Oregon? What? They ain't never won. What's his name? I'm trying to think his name right now. Who won the Heisman in Oregon?
Mariota.
That's it. Yeah. Marcus Mariota. That's it. Marcus Mariota. 35 uniform variations. Y'all are the only team to play in the national championship and not wear y'all colors. They didn't even wear their colors. They didn't do it. So all I'm saying is, I like it when Mike Gundy and Dan Lanning go back and forth. Mike Gundy, for those of you who don't remember, he's the only grown man with a mullet. He still has a mullet. He does. He's the only grown man with one. And guess what? It ain't even court ordered. A judge did not make him get his hair like that. He just did it. So all I'm gonna tell y'all is, a man with a mullet needs to be respected. But a guy named, listen, only in college football we have to respect guys with names like Dabo and Kirby and Mike Gundy with a mullet, and a guy named Dan is the head coach of Oregon. Man, stop it. Get out of here.
All right, I already know what I'm putting up in shorts tomorrow. All right, let's get on to the NFL picks.
You all are terrible. Even the boys from No Weddings in the Fall didn't pick you to win.
Okay, let's get it on. It's NFL opening week. Can't wait. I'm excited as anything. We're going to go to the first matchup, and guess what? I got my bags packed. Tomorrow morning, I'm flying into Philly for this one. I cannot wait. Cowboys at the Eagles. Weather-wise, it's partly cloudy with winds at 9 miles an hour. It should be around the 69, so no big weather impacts in this one. Cowboys lead the overall series in this 74-58. The Eagles, we know, mopped the floor with the Cowboys last year, 41-7, 34-6. That was without Dak, mind you. The Eagles are now. When I wrote this, the Eagles were favored by 7, but I heard that went up a little bit by 8.5 right now. The over under is 46.5. Let's go, Ben first. Who you like in this one and why?
I like the Eagles in a big way, and I know they got Dak. I know they add George Pickens, but even if they had Michael Parsons, who's moved on to Green Bay, Saquon, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, you got Jalen Carter, you got Nolan Smith. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I'm looking for one matchup. CeeDee Lamb opened up his mouth and said he's never been shut down. I've never got shut down. And Quinyon Mitchell said, what? When I went up against you, you had to go to the other side. But guess what? You don't think I'm that good, CD? You got your money. You got the platinum grill in your mouth. You got a sidekick now with George Pickens. Quinyon Mitchell versus CeeDee Lamb is going to be the matchup. But unfortunately for the Dallas Cowboys and their owner, they care about making headlines, not winning games. The Eagles going to beat the hell out of Dallas come tomorrow night.
Woo-wee. All right, Justin, what do you think?
I was looking over the depth chart of the Eagles real quick, and I did not know that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is the starting linebacker for the Eagles. Man, that is some legacy right there. That's like Joey Porter's son being on Pittsburgh, man. That's fucking legacy right there. I love it. But a lot of what Ben said, like it's just gonna be one of those games where I think it'll look good going in a half, and I think the air will start to come out of the building real quick as the Eagles start to wear down on that offense. I look for it to be a big game for Dak through the air. I wouldn't be surprised if garbage time treats him well and he gets over 400 yards on his stat sheet. I still think at the end of the game, the Eagles are going to win by at least 13 points, if not more.
Yeah, I totally agree, especially when you're talking just fantasy purposes. Dak's a great play this week. Again, the anticipation is that the Eagles are probably going to get up on this team pretty early, and Dak's going to have to try to throw them back in it in any way possible. So I agree with you there. I do think the Dak will have a good game. Pick George Pickens, pick CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson. I think they'll all be decent fantasy plays, but in real life, they're going to get whooped. So, yeah, I like the Eagles a lot in this matchup as well. All right, let's fly overseas and get to Brazil with the Chiefs at the Chargers. Well, not quite at the Chargers, but Chiefs have lead this series overall 71-58-1. They swept the Chargers last year 19-17 and 17-10, and the Chiefs actually have won 7 in a row in this series. They're favored by 3. The over-under is 45. Justin, who wins and why?
Ben, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yep.
You're 6 years in the league, right? 6 or was it 7?
It was 5.
It's 5, okay. Anyways, did you ever think that Brazil would be a regular game? Like a foreign country would be a regular game on the schedule?
I mean, no, when I was leaving the league, and they was talking about 2 things they was talking about when I was leaving. Fantasy football was really starting. They was talking about international play, and they never specified what international meant. Like, how far are you going to have to go? This is what I think is going on with Brazil. You want to go somewhere for at least the players can like it. Because I'm sorry, man. Players don't want to go to London. You can say whatever you want. They do not want to fly that far. For what? What? I got to go where? I got to go to London. No, I will say this, though. The NFL is showing you the popularity of the league. Like, most of these people in Brazil, London, different places, they don't really know the players like that. They know them, but you're going to have every jersey represented in the stadium. But I just think that the popularity of the league, man, is crazy. And if you are in Brazil, you saying to yourself, dude, they're starting off the season. Like, they're starting off the season. They used to do it during the season, but they told Patrick Mahomes, Patrick, you're only going to have to go to Brazil. We're not going to make you go any farther than that. Because, they love, Taylor Swift. Will she be in the building? Who knows? Is it going to be Travis Swift or is it going to be Taylor Kelsey? Because who knows when they get if they announce engagements, if Taylor Swift get pregnant, and I'm not saying she is, good God, they're gonna have to shut down the league for a day. Taylor Swift is pregnant by Travis. And Travis, you already know this. If You and Her don't make it, that's gonna be the greatest album of all time. If You and Her don't make it in life, boy, you're gonna have a 2-disc album. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be called Travis. You effed up.
Now they'll definitely have bad blood, that's for sure. All right, who wins Chiefs Chargers, Ben? Oh no, did you ever say? My bad. I think you asked Ben.
Oh no, I think it'll be the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are just too well coached. I think they'll pull this one out.
All right, Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you don't win 7 in a row because you don't know what you're doing. Patrick Mahomes just understand the matchup is still going to be Derwin James versus Travis Kelce. I know that Najee Harris, he's going to be in the lineup. They got the young rookie out of North Carolina first round. But the Chargers are a good team. Harbaugh plays hard-nosed football. But at the end of the day, I'm going to pick the better quarterback. Justin Herbert, I mean, he looks the part, sounds the part. The problem is the guy on the other side, he is the part. I'm going to go with them boys from Kansas City and Brazil.
I would say if this game was in LA, I might pick the Chargers in an upset. But as I've said from the beginning, to beat a man, you got to beat the man. And right now, the Chiefs and the AFC are the man. The Chargers got to beat them to prove they can win. So I'm going to go Chiefs as well. All right, let's go over to NFC North. The Lions against the Packers. Green Bay leads the overall series 106-78-7. Their last year, the Lions swept the Packers 34-3 and 24-14. Obviously, that's 2 in a row, and they've won 6 out of the last 7 of these matchups. Packers favored by 1.5. Over under is 47.5. Ben, who wins this and why?
Listen, I know that the Packers got a brand new toy named Michael Parsons. He's going to be coming off the edge trying to chase that guy known as Jared Goff. But the Lions got a guy coming off the edge chasing Jordan Love. His name is Aiden Hutchinson, and he ain't playing in a while. And this dude, he is one of the premier pass rushers when he is healthy. He is right up there with Myles Garrett. He is right up there with Max Crosby. Right? He's right up there with Michael Parsons. He's right up there with T.J. Watt. But the thing about a guy like Michael Parsons, while he is a pass rushing specialist, it's not in his contract to make tackles on the run. That's not what he does. I'm not here to stop the run. I'm here to get after the passer. And the last time I checked, the Detroit Lions, they got not 1, but 2 running backs they're going to stick on you. Amon St. Brown is the best slot receiver in the league. Jameson Williams is going to take the next step this year. I like Green Bay because they finally got them a receiver over the top of Matt Golden, Josh Jacobs. But the line, this ain't your same Lions, man. This ain't your Barry Sanders, Megatron Lions or Matthew Stafford Lions. This is the Jared Goff, Dan Campbell. Give me them boys from the D. I'm talking about Detroit. Give me them boys from Detroit to upset them boys from Green Bay.
All right. What do you think, Justin? Who wins?
I gotta look back at who I picked. Oh yeah, no, okay, I got you. But yeah, I picked the Lions. But the little known stat for Jared Goff, he's 7-2 against the Packers since coming to Detroit, and more importantly, he's 4-1 at Lambeau Field. Dude just has been absolutely a Packer killer, and it's just going to continue. I think this is going to be an interesting test to see. One, were the Packers right to get rid of Jair Alexander? Do they have the secondary to handle anything? Because they got 2 guys coming at him. Jameson Williams, that downfield threat is going to be nasty. And then you got Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I think it's just going to be a little too much for opening day. Lions look a little too much like they did last year, and the Packers are still, in my opinion, trying to find an identity. So I'm going to go with the Lions.
So this one was tough for me because I totally agree with everything you guys are saying. The problem for me is that generally speaking on NFL and first week, the home teams have a slight advantage being it's the opening week and, everyone's all fired up and excited and they're at home. So I'm going to give the slight edge to the Packers here. I think the line is actually right with 1.5. I think the Packers win at the maybe a field goal, a touchdown to win it. At the end, I like the Packers to win this matchup. All right, let's go to another interesting one. The Houston Texans visit the LA Rams. Rams lead this series 4-1. Their last meeting was in 2021. The Rams won 38-22. They've won 3 in a row in this matchup. Rams are favored by 3.5, and the over/under is 44.5. Justin, who wins and why?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at Philly Mike over here. His comment. You see this shit?
Oh no, sorry. I'm reading off my thing.
This dude is trolling hard.
This is the second time he's dropped some knowledge on there, which was totally false. Philly Mike, I don't believe you anymore. You're not a credible source. Oh,
I love that guy.
I remember what he put in last time, but he made me scramble and look whatever it was. So, all right, Mike, Philly Mike, we see you, bro. We see you. All right, who wins this?
I'm gonna go with the Texans on this one. Texans for me, just a better overall team. I think that Matthew Stafford, he is gonna feel the remnants of having been out for the majority of training camp and the majority of preseason. And I think, obviously he's not very mobile to begin with. And now you got a back ailment. And then you got Will Anderson coming at you. Come on now. It's going to be really tough. I think that the Rams going to be a good team, but I think that they're going to have a little hiccup here against the Texans.
What you think, Ben?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the back of Matthew Stafford, I think he missed all the training camp. Now because it's week 1, he's gonna play. But you talk about Danielle Hunter on one edge. You talk about Will Anderson Jr. I mean, you talk about a secondary. I mean, Derek Stingley Jr., Chauncey Gardner-Johnson coming over from the Eagles. They say he's gonna play. I mean, Nick Chubb is gonna get the start. I mean, Nick Collins, Puka Nacua, and I think that Devontae Adams. I mean, they're gonna be a nice duo. But I don't know how hurt Matthew Stafford is. Matthew Stafford is not as old as he's not as old as Aaron Rodgers, and Joe Flacco, but his body is. He's been beat up. He got beat up in Detroit. Now his body is feeling the effects now. And Matthew Stafford is one of the best throwers of the football you ever seen in the National Football League. Problem is, the back and the inside of that locker room gonna be lit up with big game. It's gonna be opening your pores up in the back of that locker room. It's gonna be rough. I think the Houston Texans, goes there and gets a big win. I love what DeMeco Ryans is doing. Love what C.J. Stroud is doing. I think Houston has a better team, even though I think Matthew Stafford, even though he's older, is still a better quarterback than C.J. Stroud. But I still got them boys from Texas.
Hey Ben Gay or Tiger Bomb?
I mean, a mix. They mixing it. They gonna mix it to see if they can get a hybrid effect. They're gonna have. Listen, they're gonna say, dude, Matthew Stafford was in Walgreens early getting some Epsom salt. Why? Because he got to sit in it, dude. Like he can't just go play, man.
Got to soak in it.
He's a 70-year-old, 30-something-year-old dude. Like his body is. I mean, think about it. The only commercial he's ever done was a freaking Posturepedic commercial with his wife. He's literally laying down, talking to him. That's not for real. He's sweet. It's nice, right? Like, yeah.
My body can rest. I hate to disagree with you boys again, but I'm gonna. I like LA at home. And maybe it's because I was really impressed the way the Rams looked towards the end of the year last year. And, it might have just been momentum, whatever it was. But they look like a complete team. I don't know if I believe in the Texans still yet. So I'm going to lean on LA Rams at home. I just like way their defense is set up. They can run and pass. They can do it both. So I'm gonna ride the Rams in this one. Let's go 49ers at the Seahawks. Seahawks lead the series 31-23. They split last year. Actually, in both opposing houses, they won. Seattle won 2017 in San Francisco, and San Francisco won in Seattle 36-24. There went my theory on the home teams. 49ers are favored by 1.5, and the over/under is 45.5. Ben, what you think? Who wins this and why?
I'm gonna go with your theory this time, Commissioner. I think the Seahawks, they got something brewing. Yeah, they got a brand new quarterback in Sam Darnold. Yes, they're trying to, but they got a head coach that in year one, man, proving that we're going to be a team to be reckoned with. I mean, I understand the hardest thing to build and to maintain and sustain in any level of sports is culture. They got culture up there in Seattle. Brock Purdy got his money. Fred Warner got his money. George Kittle got his money. The fullback got his money. I want to know the health of Trent Williams. I want to know how healthy is Trent Williams. And the thing about this San Francisco defense, starting safety gone. Dre Kinlaw gone, right? The starting cornerback, Tre'Davious Ward gone. That you're replacing a lot of production on that defense. And I'm going to keep saying this. I don't care if people don't like it. Bosa is a really, really good player. And sometimes you forget that he is out there. He is good when he is good. But sometimes you're like, they got Bosa, right? Yeah, where is he? Hey, man, he going to have a little claw on his hand, and he's going to stick it back there like he's a NASCAR driver. And, he's going to be out there getting it in. But I like Seattle at home. I think they start off 1-0 in this division. And Brock Purdy, they can either talk about him, love him or hate him. He got his money, man. He is the greatest Mr. Irrelevant you ever seen. But if I'm the franchise quarterback and I might be the 10th best player on my team, only the 49ers can state that claim. But I think the Seattle Seahawks, they start off 2025 in the win column.
Oh, I like it. Justin, is it a homer pick today, or who do you got?
Oh yeah, of course it is. First off, fuck Seattle. I will never, ever, ever, ever in a game situation pick them over the 49ers. So for me, it's as simple as this. The 49ers had a terrible year last year for injuries, and they had a reload year. They got rid of some key players that were really not really good for their interior line. What do? You go out and you draft this guy, CJ West, draft Alfred Collins, who in preseason, I know it's preseason, but in preseason looked like they were clogging those lanes like Platt clogged your grandfather's arteries, because those lines, nobody was getting through them, and they were making running backs bounce out to the outside, where you got Fred Warner chasing your ass, you got D Winters chasing your ass, and then when you said we have no safety, well, I'll tell you what, we've been looking for a safety to begin with. Malik Mustafa is fantastic, but we got this guy named Marcus Single, who is absolutely a tackle monster, a heat-seeking missile. Love the kid. As far as Charvarius Ward being gone, he had to move on because of his personal reasons. I completely understand it. But we have Lenore. We have Bernardo Green, who's probably our best man-to-man cover guy, period. And then we have this young upstart guy named Upton Stout, who, from all intents and purposes, the reports say this dude pays like a 6'5", 250-pound linebacker, but he's only 5'9", 189 pounds. That is some big shoes to fill. That is some big hype coming from camp on this guy, and he looks to be the starter day one. Plus, I absolutely get what Ben's saying with Nick Bosa. He does get lost in the sauce too much in games. They run away from him. They chip block him. He doesn't have the move set that everybody thinks he would have going into, I think, year 5 here. So obviously that's still an issue. He's still a huge threat. He's a really good player, but this kid, Michael Williams, is a real deal as well. If we get out there and we're fully healthy for this game, I have no problem saying that we're going to win this game. Problem is I don't think we're going to stay fully healthy for the season, because we never do.
It's funny because all off season it was all womp, womp, womp from Justin about the Niners. So you can tell football is here, because now all of a sudden he got his chest out. The 49ers are going to the Super Bowl. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I won't say that.
Back to my theory, home team, Seahawks. We've been talking about them all off season. They definitely got the defense. Sam Darnold, to me, he's not him for me at all. But right now it's the beginning of the season. It's when it gets later in the season and things matter is when you see him crumble. So the first game of the season, I expect a decent showing from him. So I'm going to go Seahawks in this matchup. All right, let's go to the big one of the day. I don't care what anyone says. Ravens at Bills. Thank you, NFL, for a great way to end your Sunday. Ravens lead the series 7-6. The last meeting on here is I'm like, what did I put? They split last season. Oh yeah, they played in the playoffs. Regular season, Baltimore won 35-10. In the divisional playoff, Buffalo won 27-25. Buffalo is favored by 1.5. Over under is 51.5. That's what I'm talking about. Ain't gonna be no Ohio State and Texas in this one. What do you think, Justin? Who wins this?
This game should have been in Brazil with the ruckus that those crowds make. Like, you're really trying to get to the nuts and bolts of like getting these football like fans into football. You give them a really good barn burner like this game. You don't give them the Chargers Chiefs. It's a snore fest after the third quarter. But I like the Ravens in this one. The Ravens always come out strong. They always come out as heavy hitters. I know last year was kind of an anomaly. They lost to the Raiders early on, and then I think they lost to the Chiefs in the first game. But I think it's just set up for them to show, hey, this is going to be our AFC to lose. Bills, on the other hand, year in and year out, the Bills seem to kind of disappoint as far as like free agency, draft picks. They never seem to hit on enough, and it just seems like more and more they're relying on Josh Allen, which I'm sure will take a toll eventually. I hope it doesn't this season, but all I'm saying is when you look at Baltimore, they build from the ground up. They build at essential players, at essential positions. They're really good at it. I think they're really good when they're healthy. They're damn near one of the best teams. They just got to get that like confidence, that mental confidence, and get over that Kansas City hump. When they do that, it's going to be near unstoppable.
I like it. What do you think, Ben? Who wins and why?
Last season, Josh Allen, he wins MVP. He had 4,172 yards passing. He had 41 touchdown passes. He had 4 picks. He had another 915 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. That's Lamar Jackson's stats. And Lamar Jackson Lamar Jackson didn't win it. What the hell is going on? 41 touchdown passes, 4 picks, almost 1,000 rushing yards. And I was the first team All-Pro. When's the last time the first team All-Pro quarterback didn't win the MVP? Last year. They gave it. No, they didn't give it. I do think Josh Allen earned it. But for that reason, Lamar Jackson is saying, look, I ain't really had my way with Patrick Mahomes, and I give it up to him. I got 2 regular season MVPs. Josh Allen got 1. We are a premier team. We are the best team in my conference. They're the best team in their conference. We think that we better than them. And I think that Lamar Jackson and company are going to go into Buffalo and get a big win. Because the difference in the two is this. For the Buffalo Bills to win, Josh Allen has to play well. He cannot not play well. Lamar Jackson can just hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. Commissioner, didn't we say this all last year? Hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry rushed for over 1,900 yards in 2024. And people act like it's regular. All I'm saying is this. We got another Bosa. This time it's Joey. He's out there in Buffalo now, right? I'm just looking at the teams top to bottom, and top to bottom, the Ravens might have the best roster, not named the Eagles, in the whole National Football League. When you look at what they have, Isaiah Likely, I got to see if he's healthy. Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, DeAndre Hopkins is a freaking Raven. Plays for the Ravens now. I just like the Ravens in this matchup. I know Buffalo is a different team at home. One loss ain't gonna be the end of your season. But for week 1, I'm going to go with the boys from Baltimore.
This is one of those, as they say, coin flip games, quite honestly, for me, because both of these teams are really good. I'm just going to keep sticking to what I'm saying. I'm going to go with the home team in their first game in a home opener. I'm going to go with the Bills. I disagree with you, Justin. I'm glad this is in the States because, no offense to people in Europe, but you don't deserve this. This is our stuff right here. And especially if I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, I'd be pissed if this game was overseas. But I again, going back to everything you guys said was spot on. The Bills definitely were a little soft against the run last year. So you can definitely see Derrick Henry having a decent game in this matchup. If they stick to that formula, the Ravens definitely could pull this out, keep Josh Allen off the field. That's an easy formula there. But, again, it's in Buffalo. Got the A going on. I'm going to go Buffalo in this matchup. All right, let's finish it up with the Monday Night Delight. Vikings at the Bears. Vikings lead the series 68-58-2. Last season, the Vikings swept the Bears 30-12 and a 30-27 overtime thriller. Chicago is favored by 1.5. The over/under is 45.5. Ben, who wins this and why?
I know that the Chicago Bears got a brand new head coach. They got some. They added some firepower at tight end. They got that offensive line right for Caleb Williams. But I just think Minnesota, they just playing at a different speed. They just playing with a different attitude. J.J. McCarthy missed all of 2024. Sam Darnold comes in, and now he's a Seattle Seahawks signed for $100 million. Boom. Minnesota is looking at Chicago saying, dude, we don't believe it. You think one dude is the reason why Caleb Williams ain't playing well? BS. You think all I got to do is give him a better offensive line? This is why I think Minnesota's going to win. They asked Ben Johnson, what are you looking out of Caleb Williams? He said, man, I'm looking for him to take strides, man. I'm looking for him to really, be the driver of this offense. Caleb, what are you looking to do? I want to be the first 4,000-yard passer in Chicago Bears history. They all two totally different wavelengths. What the hell? What does it matter you pass for 4,000? Like, who cares? The last time the Chicago Bears went to the Super Duper Bowl and they were relevant, Rex Grossman was the quarterback in 2007. I played with Rex Grossman in Florida. That's how long it's been. Devin Hester ran back to open the kick, and that was probably the entire Chicago offense. Peyton Manning to come and go on and win the game, and the rest is history. Caleb Williams is either going to make Ben Johnson an incredible head coach, or one of them going to be gone. One of them is not going to survive. Because Ben Johnson did not pick Caleb Williams. He inherited him because he went in the first overall pick a year before. For all that being said, I think the Purple People Eaters are a better team than Chicago because Chicago got the same quarterback as last year. Guess what that quarterback last year got to deal with the defense this year for Minnesota? Get sacked like he did. That same defense is coming back. And a player in the National Football League that does not get enough credit, Harrison Smith. Do you know how long he's been in Minnesota? Harrison Smith played. Listen, Harrison Smith played at Notre Dame. Harrison Smith been playing football about as long as Cam Jordan been playing for the freaking Saints. Only difference is, I'm just saying. I want to say Harrison Smith might have been born in the 80s. That's how long he been in the league. Give me the guys from Minnesota. I think Chicago got a good team. I think they got a good coach. I don't think they got a good quarterback. I got to see it in Caleb Williams. I got to see it. Caleb Williams is a follower. You don't believe me? He was at Oklahoma and he followed Lincoln Riley to SC, right? Won the Heisman, cried the next year because they ain't win enough games. Now he's the number 1 overall pick. I think Caleb Williams got a shot to be good. I just don't think Ben Johnson is the answer, and he will not figure it out week 1. There's going to be much to do about nothing. Give me the Purple People Eaters from Minnesota.
All right, Justin, I know you were the high guy on Chicago, so what do you think? They pulling this off Monday night?
Yeah, no, I got Chicago winning this game. I think that obviously, if you look back, the Lions beat the Vikings twice last year. That means Ben Johnson obviously has a good idea on how to attack Brian Flores' defense. It's well known that Ben Johnson is he follows that McVay, Shanahan kind of lineage where he's like, hey, I'm going to scheme it completely up for you, and then we're going to run through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you can't get it there, throw it out of bounds. If Caleb can learn how to throw it out of bounds before he takes a sack, he'll already be 10% better than he was last year. I won't say 100% better, but he'll already be 10% better than last year. And, I look at this team. Chicago had a decent defense last year. And one thing that was a major problem was offensive line. What do? They go get Drew Dahlman. They get Joe Tooney, Jonah Jackson. They really shore up the interior of the line. They got a run game. We've got a coach that's going to be, heavily mixing in the run along with the pass. You've got 5 weapons if you count Cole Kmet as a legitimate weapon now for this offense to get the ball to. Yeah, I think that this is going to be a lot closer than we think it's going to be. And I think the Bears are going to be able to pull it out. Week 1 is all about miracles, too. And I think the miracle would be the Bears beating the Vikings.
I mean, so, I'm gonna go off of my normal pick the home team to win. I don't see it like you do with the Bears, Justin. I'm just not. Not that I don't see it because you've made some compelling cases over the summer for them. I am just like kind of wait and see. And for a team that went 5-12, going against a team last year that went 14-3, there's just no way I think there's a big enough difference to close that gap. Especially in the first one. So I'm going to go Minnesota, although I'm very interested to see how J.J. McCarthy looks in this offense because that's also an unknown in this matchup. We don't really know what J.J. McCarthy is going to look like from game one. Almost Archie Manning-esque. We haven't seen him in the game for a full game. So I'm interested to see how he looks. But with those weapons, I mean, my 5'6" ass could probably throw a few touchdowns to Justin Jefferson, maybe some screen passes, mind you, but we could make something happen anyway. So that's the way I see it. All right, well, we're going to close out tonight, but before we do, we got Ben Skadoop of the week. Just don't forget, stick and stay here on Friday night. We're going to start a little earlier. We have our Friday night breakdown on TSS Fantasy. We're going to look at all the upcoming games coming up for the holiday, or excuse me, I was about to say holiday. It is kind of a holiday for the NFL slate over the weekend. We'll give you our starts and sits for those games, so that'll be great. Then, of course, wake up with us on Sunday morning, bright and early, 8 a.m. We got betting advice. We have ultimate DFS lineups. We're going to do some NFL picks as well. I even got a new Sunday morning cartoon to play for you guys, so that'll be lots of fun for you to check out. Check us out on Sunday morning at 8 a.m. with TSS Fantasy. We'll help get you ready. All right, well, don't forget next week as well, No Weddings in the Fall will be live again. We'll have a full slate of NFL games to talk about, what had happened, what's going to happen in the following week, and as well as college as well. So make sure you stick and stay here. All right, that's it for me and Justin. It's time for Ben's Troupe Skadoop of the week.
I don't know about you, but I'm ready for Ben Troupe's Skadoop of the week.
What up, my good people? This is No Weddings in the Fall. I am Ben Troupe, and there was something that happened that I want to get off my chest. The GOAT. Oh, not the GOAT of college, but the GOAT of the National Football League, Bill Belichick. He's still coaching football. It's UNC. He invited Michael Jordan, Lawrence Taylor, and before this game was over, Lawrence Taylor, Michael Jordan said, let's get the hell up out of here. He didn't get beat. He got beat down. And Bill Belichick was doing something on the sideline I've never seen him do. He wasn't going up to his offensive coordinator. He wasn't going up to his defensive coordinator. He wasn't even going up to his special teams coordinator. He was going up to his girlfriend. His girlfriend is looking to trademark the word gold digger. I'm telling you, I'm not making this stuff up. She is looking to trademark the word gold digger, and she's going to have jewelry. I don't know if the jewelry is going to be called gold digger, but she's trademarking it. What am I saying? Bill Belichick making $10 million just to have fun. He sure ain't winning games. TCU, the Horned Frogs, stuck, listen, they kicked a mug hole in the freaking UNC Chapel Hill Tar Heels. All I'm telling y'all is this. Yesterday's price ain't today's price. Bill Belichick, while he is the man in the NFL, he is just a man in college. Because until he earn it, this ain't the same game. I am being true, man. This is No Weddings in the Fall. And Bill Belichick, if you seeing this, it's all love. But you might lose this week to the UNC Charlotte 49ers. And we out of here.